Hey nerds, what's up? Today I want to talk about unique fantasy world building, but more in particular, world building that I don't see talked about very often. We all know the big ones, and we know that I am a personal fan of most of them. People like Brandon Sanderson, Terry Pratchett, Robert Jordan, and someone I haven't read, but George R.R. Martin. These are the big ones that people just talk about all the time. They're known for their excellent world building. And so today, even though I think those are excellent, obviously, look at my bookshelf, I want to talk about ones that I don't see talked about as much for people who love world building and maybe want to give some different books a try that they haven't heard of or read yet that are strong in world building. So let's get into it. The first one I want to talk about is The Darker Shades of Magic trilogy by V.E. Schwab. Now, this did show up in my Peeked at Book 1 video. I did greatly like Book 1 to the other series, but I think the series as a whole is fine. But this still has one of my very favorite world building pieces I've ever read in it, which is its 4 Londons. In this novel, there is Grey London, Red London, White London, and Black London, and they are all connected and you can get to them. They have different levels of magic. So Grey London is our London with no magic, Red London's the one with the most magic, and on and on. This is such a simple piece of world building. Like it's simple, it's straightforward, yet I find it so magical. I just loved the evocative image of the colors representing the magic levels and how it connected to our own London. Again, simple but effective and still probably one of my favorite pieces of world building in fantasy lit, even if the whole trilogy wasn't necessarily my favorite overall. The next one I want to talk about is The Tech of the Dandelion Dynasty by Ken Liu. You might be sick of me talking about the Dandelion Dynasty, but that's too bad. I really love the world building in here, but particularly the tech and how it's used. Ken Liu himself said he wanted to make the engineers the heroes in his novels, and they absolutely are. As an engineer myself, I obviously attach myself to that. But I love the way he describes how tech is developed in his world, and I love that you're never quite sure if something is tech or magic. In fact, my friend Jimmy over at the Fantasy Network, which is a great channel if you haven't checked it out, he was messaging me while he was reading the Dandelion Dynasty, and at one point a fantasy creature appears, and he messaged me being like, I love that I do not know if this is a real creature or if it's like robotics. And I think that part of Ken Liu's world building is very unusual for fantasy and really drew me in. The next one I want to talk about is American Gods by Neil Gaiman. Now, I know that he was probably not the first person to do this idea because I think it's been done a decent amount, but this is just my favorite way it was done, which is that gods are shaped by how humans believe in them. So the gods just aren't gods and humans believe in them, but the way humans believe and what they believe shape the actual gods themselves. And in American Gods, this ends up translating into the same god in America versus the homeland are two different people, because the way that the people believed in them evolved to make them two separate entities. And I just really loved that. And the way it's displayed in American Gods and discussed in American Gods, I found to be just a very cool, again, simple piece of world building that really paid off. It's the opposite of we are made in God's image, but rather God is made in our image, which is very interesting. And finally, I want to talk about a novella that I actually didn't really love, but the world building was excellent, which is The Psalm of the Wild Built by Becky Chambers. Now, this novella, a lot of people just love, so don't necessarily take my word for it. It was only 3-star for me. If you're curious, the reason I didn't love it is I found it to be very preachy, which is always a bad sign, especially if you agree with the things they're preaching about. But beyond that, I have to admit, people say that this is cozy world building, and they're absolutely right. In fact, I'm disappointed I didn't like the plot more because the world building was just excellent. Wild Built is actually talking about robots who built themselves in the wild. There was kind of like a revolution where machineries, became sentient, and then they realized they should stop using them, but then they kept growing and changing in the wild. And the way that's represented, I just found to be very unique and very cool. And there's also something called tea monks in this world, which are people who go around just listening to other people and their worries and providing them tea. And I don't know, kind of sounds dumb when I say it that way, but in this story, it's just such a peaceful and magical world, and that world just really brought me in. Again, I kind of wish I liked the plot more, but if you're very into like cozy, peaceful world building, and since it's only a novella, I definitely give this one a try. So those are some of my favorite world building I've seen outside of the big greats who are known for world building. If you are somebody where world building is extremely important in a novel, I would definitely give these 4 a try, and please let me know if you've read them or if you've tried them, if you like the world building in those as much as I do, or tell me some other underrepresented authors who are great at world building in the comments below. And as always, if you like these kind of videos, please like and subscribe. That is the best way to support me. And if you want to see what I'm currently reading, you can check me out on Instagram at bookborn.reviews. I'll see you next time. Bye.